Hello and welcome, big welcome to Deborah Corn from Print Media Centre. Hiya, Deborah, how are you doing?
Hello.
Hello. I've asked to come and have a chat with you because you got some exciting news over the last few weeks. And I thought, what a great chance to sit down and have a proper chat about it. But Jill, before we get on to that, do you want to tell us a little bit about you, who you are, and a little bit about Print Media Centre?
Sure. Thank you. First of all, thank you so much for having me.
More than welcome.
My name is Deborah Corn. I am the intergalactic ambassador to the Printiverse at Print Media Center, where I provide education, resources, events, and printspiration to print and marketing professionals around the world. I am the executive director of Girls Who Print, a global nonprofit organization and the largest network of women in the industry. We have a new member platform and program, which is open to gentlemen as well, because the best way forward is together. We have a robust sponsorship program. We are a nonprofit, so if you're in the United States, it's tax deductible. Yay. And we support women across their careers in print. We have a heavy focus on education and upskilling and mentorship. Bust global mentorship going that is free for anybody who wants to join. And I am the founder of International Print Day, which has been celebrated on 6 of the 7 continents. But one day I will get the penguins to do something in Antarctica, or I'll find a researcher down there just to send out something on social media so I can claim all world domination. I'm the founder of Project Peacock, which is a print customer educational program. And since it started, I have interacted with more than 8,000 print customers, printers, designers, a lot of students, just to basically show them that print is a really cool place to be. And, all of the opportunities that are available to them with all the new ingredients that we have. We know, being immersed in this, that there was a time where I come from advertising agencies as my origin story as a print production director. And there was a time you just reached behind you, pulled out a swatch book and said, that looks like fun. Let's try that one. And yes, if you're printing on offset, enjoy yourself. That method will more than likely still work. But if you're printing on digital toner or inkjet, there are better ways to get the results that you want by understanding the ecosystems now between paper, ink, and press. So my mission was to take the industry garb out of it, the lingo, 8 meters a minute, and B12, and just put the new things you can make down on the ground with creative people and step away and let them figure out what they want to do with it. So I spend half my time doing educational things, and then tied into that is also my podcast from the Printiverse channel, which is listened to in 156 countries and has more than 250,000 downloads, which I like to say for Beyonce is a Tuesday, but it makes me the Beyonce of print. And as you mentioned, some exciting news. I have transformed the podcast into the world's first, by the way, 24/7 internet radio station dedicated to print and graphic communications, which I am honored to run the Jam in the Print Room podcast across. And I have to say, I love that podcast. And I was really interested the episode you did about the labor laws in England. That was fascinating to somebody who isn't in your system, to hear, what happens in other countries. So that is something I think is really great about the radio. First of all, you don't have to go looking for content, which was the problem I was running into. There was a while there, I had like 2 years clear of anybody podcasting. I was before the pandemic, I was podcasting. So after the pandemic, when everyone was like, I'm going to have a podcast, I still had like another year or so. But as of last year, the podcasting lane got very crowded, and not in a bad way, in a good way, because there was other pretty great content out there, great conversations and abilities to learn about things going on in other countries. And that is why I really was excited to bring everything together into one stream so that people don't have to go digging around for things. And I could also have a second life for a library of over 750 podcasts that I've done. Although I will say that when we started opening up the station, I realized that anything really past like earlier than 2022 wasn't relevant anymore. It was a great conversation, but it was a different world there. So I edited, to like 200 episodes, and those are currently rotating along with other people. And if you're listening to this and you have an industry podcast that is not about selling your products and services, very important, get in touch. I'd love to run your content on the radio. That was a long answer,
Good
Jack.
stuff. Yeah, that is a great answer. We did a, well, I took part as well, which was good fun. You did a sort of a live session. Are you thinking of doing more live shows? Because that was good fun, and really, that really captures people's attention, doesn't it?
Absolutely. My goal is to mostly do live shows, get shows that have been recorded from other people's, of other podcasts or through sponsors and things like that, if they want to do their own programs and send them in and run them on the radio. But yes, my goal is to sit here and become a radio broadcaster, including I have all the GPTs out there collecting industry news from me in blurbs so I could do a daily news report about what's, just top hits of what is going on in the industry. Certainly any breaking news. I have the ability to call upon one of the thousands of experts I know to jump on a really quick recording to help people understand how this might affect them, because really, isn't that all anybody really cares about at the end of the day? It's not, okay, that's a great invention. That's a great thing. But how does this affect me? So I like to just get to, cut to the chase, as we say here in the States.
Good stuff. Now, I'm assuming this is very much your project. Do you have other people sort of supporting you, helping you, sponsors, that kind of thing that you want to talk about?
Well, I have a station manager who has a full-time job, so I'm not allowed to say who she is because she works in the
Fair enough.
industry. But my shout out to my station manager, you know who you are, and she basically Tetrises the podcasts, the commercials. They have created content, mini content. I call it quick quotes. So the podcasts I do all have transcripts. So I have been pulling out quotes about the industry and about different things you can do with print and putting them out there. So there's a lot of that going on. And so the station would not be on air if it wasn't for Damtar and XM Pi just willing to take yet another chance on a Deborah Corn crazy idea. So what I would say is you always want to have a couple of people in your corner who literally are just like, okay, whatever you want to do, we're behind you, as long as it makes sense. And this makes sense because it is, last week we had over 800 listeners, which I think is pretty good for the first week. We are seeing, times when people are listening. It's really like a radio station where you actually can see, like, when the peak advertising times are and things of that nature. And we've discovered that between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. Eastern time is the sweet spot. The 11 a.m. is surprising to me, but that might be the Brits, like driving home or something like that. So
Yeah, that sounds it.
commuting home. So, I'm just watching it right now. Damtar and XMPi have supported us to get the station launched, to be able to watch it and see what happens and get more people involved. And then we'll start looking at how to afford the opportunity of other companies to come in and get the massive exposure that I believe will eventually come from this channel.
Yeah, good. I mean, I can see that sort of the suppliers, the manufacturers to the industry are going to be interested. They've got a lot to say as well that to
So the
contribute.
printers.
Yeah, but the challenge is for your listeners, the people of the coalface out there. Clearly out of all those 800 listeners, a good chunk of those have got to be actual printers. So how are we going to get more people to listen? What have you got in plan to to encourage people to tune in and listen more often?
I know that a lot of printers listen to my podcast, and I know this because when I go into events, they tell me that, and they tell me which of the series they like the best, and they have comments about it. They also comment on LinkedIn. The other hosts who post things get comments on them, so there is an audience there. But you're right; they do need to find the station, and as much as people like me and you might think we promote something to, oh my God, who wants to hear about this anymore? The printers are very far removed from that, looking online every 5 minutes when they're trying to get jobs out the door. So my hope is that the, people in the office and the other people who learn about it, grassroots movement and tell other people, or somebody walks by and says, what's that? And they tell them what it is. But I'm always about having a little fun, Jack. So I believe that, one of the ways of enticing people is to offer them an opportunity to promote themselves, and in a fun way that shows everybody, hey, I'm a human person. I'm not, so buy something from me. It's nothing like that. So some of the things that I'm planning to do, and if you're listening to this, you could be the first people to take advantage of it. I want people to record a weird noise in their print shop. I'm going to play it and then see if anyone can guess what the machine, what is the sound, guess the noise. I want to have cross time zone shout outs. So like a certain hour every week, it is speaking to somebody from another country and talking to them about, what's going on in print in there. I want to have a listener takeover where, like, called Print FM Hijacked, and just like say, okay, today's Jack's taking over the live broadcast, or a recorded program. Do things like drop Easter egg clues of something during the day, and at the end of the day, the first person to email the correct answer to printfm at printmediacenter.com, gets a free commercial or a program or something. This is the thing. I give out big prizes because it's all my stuff. So I will give it's not like you could win a $5 Amazon card. No, you can get a program on the radio station. Street drop-ins of people that the print shop will be interested in. And to your most excellent point, I really want the press operators, people who work on the shop floor, because I think that is how we get print radio turned on in the press room, instead of whatever else they might be listening to, or, in their headphones. This is a really good idea. So I'm going to TM it so no one else can steal it right now. But what I'm going to do is create these very weird playlists in Spotify, like songs to run a press by, CMYK, greatest hits or something like that. And in those playlists that people can subscribe to, there will be little commercials for Print FM to try to get them over. I mean, yes, somebody has to be searching something very strange on Spotify for that to come up, but these are audio programs. So, I want to stay in the audio ecosystem and things of that nature. The other thing that I would ask everybody out there, and you've done this for me, is just to say, hi, this is Deborah Corn from Print Media Center, and you're listening to Print FM. And every single person who sends me that, it will play on the radio. Next week is when I'll do a real campaign for that. So you have an exclusive from me right now. I expect a lot of British accents coming my way the rest of this week.
Well, looking at your live broadcast a couple of weeks ago, there were quite a few Brits on that call. It may be because it was the early session, but it does seem to be very much an international project, which is great news.
Yeah, I mean, everything I do is international. As if you live in the printiverse, you cover everything. It just, the earth is spinning below me, but I'm just sitting up there watching it go by.
Now, look, you listed all the things you do earlier, and you said that the radio is kind of what your podcast has morphed into. So obviously you're still doing your podcast, but this is the new platform for it. How else is this going to help you and your business? I was thinking of Girls in Print and some of your other projects. How is this going to sort of help promote all the other great things you do?
It's an interesting question because I'm very cautious of taking advantage of my own channels, because the last thing I want to do is, oh, look, it's the radio and it's Print Media Center, it's Girls Who Print 24/7, 365. As a matter of fact, it's more that I'm going to have to force myself to put programming, not for Girls Who Print, because there's a podcast library and we do podcasts for all of those situations, so that will run on the radio, as well as any new programs I do for Print Media Center, which have my own commercials in those podcasts anyhow. So I mean, anything that I do that reaches more people really benefits me, because what do I sell? I sell attention time, attention time. So if somebody wants to give me their attention, I feel like I need to earn it. So I want to give them 8 hours of programming that is completely relevant to them, and then I'll pepper in some stuff that I want them to know about, or I will start having podcast conversations about things that I want people to know about. And that is not necessarily something that benefits my business. I actually focus on how can the things I do benefit everybody, and then the me stuff comes in that, but it is not my primary motivation. And I believe that is why I have the community success that I have. I think people get that this Deborah Corn is the same Deborah Corn you're going to meet if we just see you in a walking through a trade show or anything like that. And my primary motivation really is, how can this help you do something better? How can this help the print customer understand that there's way more stuff that they could be doing that they're just not aware about? And obviously, the events and the manufacturers, if there's cool equipment out there, I never endorse anything. I'm about shining a light on it. I don't know if it's right for a print shop. I'm not a printer. I don't know how to press works. I'm not about to build one. I just want to know what you can make with it. And once I understand what you can make with it, from my customer's perspective, I understand where there might be opportunities. And those opportunities aren't for everybody. Often say, don't think you want to print for an advertising agency unless you can print for an advertising agency. It's a different beast, and not every printer should be, in that arena for good reasons. That you'll just get you'll get hammered down, to nothing. So I just think that at the end of the day, that bringing everybody together is something that is important, especially now with the world the way it is and everybody being separate. I want opinions from other countries on that radio. It's very important to me that it is international and inclusive of everybody.
Fantastic. On that note, that leads me to my next thing. It's lovely having conversations like this. We can do them over the internet, but meeting up with people. We met in Berlin earlier this year, which was grand. And we talked, I think, a little bit at that time about, wouldn't it be great if they could get over to the UK and the European shows? And I believe that is exactly what's happening. You're coming along to the print show, I believe.
I am.
And
And Label Expo right before that.
Yeah, and you're talking about running shows live from the show floor, which is exciting. How is that going to work?
Well, at Label Expo, I am actually the MC of their theater called The Pulse. So that's what I'll be doing the whole time I'm there. And the hours that the theater is not open, I want to run around the show and see people. So I will not be broadcasting from Label Expo. But a couple of, the following week, I'm heading to Birmingham. Is it Birmingham? Birmingham? I don't know how you guys.
Birmingham.
Birmingham.
Great. The second one was spot on.
Okay, Birmingham.
You can do it with the accent. You can Birmingham.
I'm practicing to get screamed at by the Brits when I do my fake British accent. So yeah, I'm really excited. And I have to say that the print show has been incredible to work with. They are very excited about Print FM for Brits. You know what I'm saying? Like I can feel the excitement, which is interesting. When the Brits get excited about something, but they really did it up. They gave me a space right next to their stand, and it is gorgeous. They sent me drawings of what it looks like. This is not just like, here's a desk and, enjoy yourself. They really cared about this. And because of that, I'm going to do the best job I possibly can. And I'm planning on interviewing people who work for the show, exhibitors, attendees walking by. I am definitely popping over to the sign show. I love the wide format stuff. So if you don't see me in the stand next to the print show team, then you know that I'm in the other side of the NEC, running around in the wide format area. But yeah, I'm not sure of the schedule yet, but it'll be during show hours as often as possible. I plan to just sit in the booth and record, as long as it's not interfering with press conferences and other. There's a stage right by me. So, and then I will also be participating in the Women in Print panel that they're having there, hosted by Karis Kopp from Karis Kopp Media. Hello, Karis.
I can't wait. That sounds fantastic. I mean, I'm going to be similarly running around interviewing people, but I will come along and say hello on several occasions. And maybe you've dragged someone along to talk to you.
Definitely. And you have to, because remember, I'm not going to really be running around the show that much. So I'm going to need people like you to come by and tell me what's going on out there, or tell everybody what's going on out there.
Well, I absolutely will. Now, I think we ought to finish. I mean, I'm so excited about this project. I think it's something that's just going to grow and develop. I visit a lot of print shops here in the UK and sign shops. It'd be lovely. I just can't wait to hear some chat going on in the background in the print room, because they've got this on. You don't have to listen to music, or you could do if you use your Spotify trick. But I think it's a fantastic thing. So, in terms of you and where you see this going, is this about the importance of the community, of the network of print companies and people? Is this really what you want to try and bring together?
I want to bring together unfiltered information, conversations, bring people on air that other people might not be aware of. I mean, we go to a lot of events, Jack. We have exposure to people and new technologies and press briefings, getting emails about things that we know are going to release before other people know they're going to release. And I worked in advertising. You don't want to take the word of the person selling something to you. I mean,
Yeah.
their job is to sell something. And I'm not saying that anyone's lying or anything like that. But I've always felt that, because I come from advertising agencies, that I really am on the side, if you would say it that way, of the printers. Like, they're my partners. So ultimately, what I want to do is create a place where the printers, the influencers, and the print shops can hear about information in an unbiased way, and then make a decision for themselves whether it's right for their business. For example, personalization is not for everybody. Oh my God, lightning didn't strike me when I said that, Finishing, specialty finishing isn't for everybody. Nope, I'm still here.
No, you're right.
Right. So we have to start really focusing on the things that we could all move forward together. And some of them are uncomfortable, like these printing networks. To dismiss them at this point in time, I think is a very bad mistake. And if I were a printer, and I'm not, but if I were, I would be seriously making a decision. Do I want to become part of this world where I just turn on a switch and all my print orders for the day come through? Or am I going to be going one by one, trying to get people to use print when the industry does nothing to help people out in the world know why they should use print? We only talk to ourselves. So, long answer to say, an unbiased stream of information for people to make their own decisions, meet new people, hear from experts that are not skewing to pushing people places. And if you listen to my podcast, one of my favorite expressions is, with all due respect, I'm going to push back on that a little, so just think of that as a a promise to the audience that it is not going to be a sales channel. It is going to be an information channel.
Now,
Edutainment.
infotainment, is that the
Infotainment. Yes, infotainment. Exactly.
right now? So the most important thing is, how do people listen? Now, I know you've made it actually quite easy for companies or organizations, media outlets like myself, like iondisplay.com, to actually embed the radio station onto my page, which is great. So one place you can find it is to go on iondisplay.com and scroll down, and there it is.
Yeah.
But what's the more general way that people can tune in?
The current way is to go to printfmradio.com, and the player is on the page. You just push play. It's hidden, but in the top right corner of the player, you can click. If you put your mouse or your finger over it, you'll see the player can pop out, so you can have that on your screen and not have to have the browser window open. Alexa, which I can't say because it's sitting next to me. Alexa. There will be a voice prompt, which is currently being configured to say, "Hey, that thing, play Print FM," and it will come on. And if, as the audience grows, I will develop apps for the app stores so you can just listen through the app. But I have to say that is an undertaking to get the apps. So
Yeah.
I really want to understand the audience, where they're listening from. Right now, most people are listening from desktop, but that makes sense because that's the way to do it. But I will tell you that you can listen in your car, you can listen outside. You just need to be connected to the internet through a browser somehow, and phone signals work, and you can listen in your car. You can listen while you're mowing your lawn, going to the post, as you say over there, or the pub. And so it is portable as well.
Brilliant. Well, that sounds very straightforward. Look, I'm very much looking forward to catching up properly in September at the print show.
Me too.
Hopefully at Label Expo as well. And really, best of luck with the project. I'm sure it's going to be fantastic. And thanks so much for your time.
Thank you so much. And also, I have to tell everybody that Jack and I had a secret conversation about this radio station at the end of last year. And a lot of the things that we discussed are coming to life. So thank you for contributing to the structure of Print FM. And that is why you were one of the first people I reached out to and said, please let me run your content through my channel.
I really appreciate that. And I was so delighted that you'd run with it. I was thinking about it because I do this other radio thing. And you said, I've been thinking about this for a while. And you've kind of reminded me how much work is involved.
It's really, yeah, seriously. Right now, I'm like, oh, you think you can have a radio station? If I didn't have the library of podcasts I did, there would be no way. It would be impossible. So I'm like, okay, you wanna have a 24/7, 365 radio station? Enjoy yourself. Let's compare notes. After your first week.
I got that. Anyway, look, fantastic to talk, Deborah, and thank you very much, and good luck with all of it.